To watch the latest movie reviews and PR activities, subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell icon. A new beginning, a new hope. In this new year, I wish all the viewers of People's Voice a joyful, healthy start and a great, memorable journey in 2021. This season's speakers have a significant impact on us, especially during our formative years. Their presence shape our present and our future. They are one of the reasons for what we are today and what we will be tomorrow. Someone rightly said, without teachers, life would have no class. Welcome to People's Voice Season 4 in collaboration with teachers. I hope you all are doing great and started your new year with a bang. I am looking forward for People's Voice this series with wonderful dynamic speakers, and I hope you all are too. With that, let me just check whether our today's speaker is in the chat room. Hi Gautam, hi Shabbir. How you all doing? Before our speaker comes in the chat room, you can just comment how you spend your new year. And I can see that now he has joined the chat. So let's invite him without wasting any time. I hope you all are doing well, staying safe, staying indoor as much as you can and getting back to a normal life slowly and steadily. Hi Shandy.
Hi Nasima, nice to see you.
Same
Thank
here.
you for having me.
It's our pleasure to have you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you and we can see you as well. Can you?
Excellent. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Shandy, before we get into our conversation, just let me brief a bit about you to our viewers. Okay?
Sure.
Shandy Booth, history teacher at Universal American School, Kuwait. Born and raised in Canada to Brazilian mother and Canadian father. He had always been interested in the Middle East, had Arabic-speaking friends at university, done a considerable amount of history, literature, and politics related to this region. So when the opportunity knocked his door, he didn't hesitate, and today he is with us. Shandy, welcome to People's Voice Season 4.
Hi, thank you for having me very much. And I see this has been an interesting series and with an interesting, diverse set of characters. So I'm happy to join.
The pleasure is all ours. Shandy, to begin with, I have been informed there was no one in your family tree who is in this position, in this profession. What makes you choose this field?
Well, I think it has more generally to do with my background and my upbringing. I've been always taught to kind of be quite diverse and help other people. So my impetus to start teaching comes more from kind of just the desire to know like academic subjects and to help other people, and to really that I also kind of like not really working always with adults. I feel like you learn a lot from students, kids, than you necessarily always do from adults. It's a different kind of, and it's a different kind of job. I mean, everyone in my family, my mother was a physiotherapist and was a physician before she moved to Canada, and my father is an economist. So we have my brother is an engineer, so there's really a diverse set of values, but everyone really is, I think, has this focus internationally, like in helping people, and that's where the teaching comes from.
True. Teacher is, I believe that one of that professions that entire society is grateful to have them, because we all are helped by teachers, as I mentioned in the introduction, during our formative years, and the impact lasts forever in our life. So I'm sure being a teacher, we can help the society in a most important way.
I remember the importance of quite a few of my own teachers because it wasn't a very like without anybody in the family, it wasn't a very natural kind of job for me to go into. I'm not necessarily known like kind of communicator and public speaker. It has more to do with the kind of academic side, the content knowledge and the desire to kind of build up right a community, like you said, that lasts a long time, that makes an impact on people, uh, and that really helps a lot, and it's the kind of thing that keeps me going in the job.
Mm-hmm. Shandy, from your profile, I can say that you have a good international working experience. You worked in London, in Canada, and now in Kuwait. So, what drives you to accept such very geographically located job?
I think this one is easy. My parents come from two different countries.
Uh-huh.
I was raised to kind of travel. I've always had to go and visit my family in Brazil. I've always had to go and kind of, you know, or being encouraged to uh, travel abroad. So it's not, I guess I wouldn't like to say that always within our families who have, a lot of us here in Kuwait, of course, are away from a lot of our family. And um, I think even in my family, that is fortunately not, it's, I've been supported well. So it, it definitely helps in terms of, having that desire to just you can open yourself up. Why not go here or there? There's so much else to discover, and within teaching, you're dealing with the formative members of the society. I've learned more of an immense amount about Kuwait and this part of the world, even though I've of course studied and be academic in university, and my friends. I've learned so much more in a way from being here teaching and having to know students. Uh,
Mhm.
so it's very revealing.
So it comes naturally to you due to your diverse background, just to, accept the diverse diversely located jobs. So it's easier for you. It's not a challenging task to move from one country to another, right?
I mean, it can't be underestimated, I think, for any of us how that is challenging, right? But yes, I would say it definitely helps a lot, and getting to know a lot of other people who are in these similar situations, you do form that kind of, it's a certain type of expatriate community often wherever you are, and a type of like international lifestyle or understanding in a way that comes up. And uh, yeah, it can sometimes be hard to relate to the people who don't have that. But as long as it has broadened, your horizons, obviously. So it becomes easier for sure after a while.
I'm sure the diverse background just help, but does not take away the challenges of moving from one place to another place.
Hmm.
Uh, that takes me to my next question. I have also read and mentioned in your profile that you have international experience. You worked in London, and you mentioned that London has a tough teaching environment. Can you please elaborate on it? What do you mean by tough environment?
Yeah, I think this has a lot to do with large cities. They're very transient, very international, and the teachers in those positions are as well, as well as the students. And any of us who have, I've heard you from Mumbai, for example, like there, there's a lot of um, you know, energy and people who live in this and have such a different type of like lifestyle and pattern to their life. There's so much happening that it's very charged in a way in the classroom often, and you deal with a lot of the most different type of situations from students who travel a long ways to school on their own through a transport who don't have the support of a regular like family structure at all. The students are in really disadvantaged like areas or homes in those cities, right? In kind of, maybe in London I may not say slums, but a lot of maybe viewers who have been there also know some parts of the city being less kind of desirable, and they're difficult to teach in because these students bring this and really challenge you. It can be kind of aggressive. I've had students with out of school challenges being brought back into school who are liable to swear, to be aggressive towards the teachers who are suffering in their own community, and that makes that I think is what makes those kind of inner city jobs very constantly moving, a lot of energy, and you're kind of adapting to those things as a teacher, as well as the content and stuff that we're trying to obviously help students with. You have other concerns.
It sound challenging. It is sound tough that studying and teaching in London. It's quite difficult, as you explain, and that makes me think that I'm sure you must be coming across in numerous challenges while dealing with students. If you remember any of the challenges that you would like to share with us, challenge with the student or with other teachers, any challenge that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, sure. When I first came to Kuwait, I mean, I don't think I was as surprised by being in the country, but with students, I would have, students being able to challenge the mentality of that some people had in terms of a new teacher came and being able to, kind of test the new teacher and cheat in the classroom or, go behind the teacher's back for favors or grades from other people. I think these things were definitely challenging, and it kind of resets what your objectives, I think, always are. You have to kind of understand the context where you're at as a teacher, and that determines your type of interaction and what you're saying with students, so that they actually feel welcomed in the class, that they kind of matter, that you're able to deal with them. And of course, not all students will be like that. Some will always, in some way, be against you, but it definitely helped just over time, I think, to deal with those challenges, to be, drive up a relationship with the students, to have understood, what are the methods that it can get that encourage students here to kind of naturally deviate away from those kinds of behaviors and those kinds of problems. So you gradually kind of figure that out I think as a teacher, as a lot of my ex-student like friends and colleagues, as they go along.
So the challenge was predominantly due to the lack of discipline in student. That wouldn't be wrong, I guess, saying that the lack of discipline create the challenges for teachers like yourself.
It definitely is, because when you get into a new situation, right, as a teacher, and I'm, relatively young, of course, coming to Kuwait, that there is that perception and being able to, and it definitely comes from my own like personality or philosophy in the classroom. So I definitely had to challenge myself to find the way that I was going to deal with the discipline as quickly as possible.
Talking about challenges, Shandy, there is another thing which I would call a challenge for all of us to keep ourselves updated. with the latest knowledge, whether it's my field or now we are talking about teacher profession. So I would want to know how you keep yourself updated with the latest teaching knowledge.
Yeah, it is definitely an interesting challenge now in terms of how schools in Kuwait have scheduled professional development. Just given that we're in with a pandemic, and a lot of this has been done through kind of like online modules and getting teachers in our own schools to create kind of workshops and ideas for different applications that are, slowly kind of being added to the repertoire, at least in our school. And I think the other thing is just to, as any teacher really, is you kind of have that, at least in the back of your mind, the inner responsibility to just read widely. And as you keep, say thinking about updating, like us doing online classes, you keep, I've taught a new class this year, and that's taught me to read a lot into teaching, in this case, more like development, economics, current issues, and looking at basically literature and educational literature in these areas. So as long as you read widely and you kind of, I think most teachers get developed with the kind of adapting to this environment, and you remember that you start to click just like any classroom. You're adapting to the situation and what makes your student tick online instead of when they're right there.
Well, I believe I will agree with you when it comes to reading. Reading help us a lot to keep ourselves updated, irrespective of in which profession you are. If you keep reading about your profession, it's a one way to keep yourself updated. Shandy, we do have one question from audience, and I believe we can take a question. We do have a time. We do have a time. One of the viewers is asking how to stay focused in class with a beautiful distraction.
Distractions from students. I mean, teachers always make thousands of decisions in a day. So if it's students distracting you from the kind of lesson content, just being organized, like I know you are with timings and how you organize the show, it's very similar to how we would think in the classroom. Kind of, if you have an agenda and the students kind of, and especially in high schools, then the students kind of distracting from that, you kind of develop an instinct of what to say to kind of divert attention. So, because sometimes, right, it's not always best to be kind of, or necessary to be confrontational with the student who's, maybe distracting. It depends on what exactly they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think sticking to a strong agenda in the class is always helpful.
I believe our viewer got the answer for his question. With that, we are almost on time. And before you leave, I just want to ask you what's next for you in the teaching world?
Well, I've had the great pleasure here of doing a lot of extracurricular things with students in Kuwait, and that's one of the best things to do, really. Like Model United Nations is popular, and so are there a lot of sports in our school. And so I want to take that hopefully a little bit further. And then I do have my family in Brazil, and that's unfortunately, like all of us who are expatriates in Kuwait, sometimes our time may be up for various reasons. So if that comes to be the case, I would probably select moving to Brazil as a priority, I suppose.
Oh, all right. With that, thank you so much, Shandy. I wish you all the very best for your future endeavor. Once again, thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you so much for having me. It's interesting, and I hope the your viewers have got something from the starting off this series, and that there'll be more interesting chats with teachers.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Once again, thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care. Thank you. Bye.
So that was Shandy Booth, history teacher. It was lovely chatting with him, and I have got to know a lot about the teaching aspect, and I'm sure you all enjoyed watching us. Until then, stay safe, take care. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye bye.